Hello and welcome back to Universal Love Law. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're about to jump into the dark-sided Gemini. So I'm doing all of these little dark-sided general readings. I may get into the genders later. But for now, if I do talk about male or female, I'll be specific in that moment. But ultimately, I'm gonna just review the overall energy signature of a dark-sided aspect of that sign. So specifically in this video, we're gonna be focusing on the Gemini. So people that have a very jaded Gemini or dark-sided Gemini energy, I want you guys to know first and foremost, this video is not for all Geminis. So if you're a Gemini and you're watching this video to try to get some type of understanding of how people may see you on a negative or some defense of what people could say is negative about you, I know Gemini sometimes play these mind games in that sense. Don't do that. We're not here for that. This is for negative, jaded Geminis. People that have experienced trauma, that have created these chemical imbalances within themselves to make them act out very negatively, act out on their more negative traded Gemini. Now, I'm not talking about the positive and the flowers and the bees and the birds. So take what you can. All of us ultimately do act out some of our negative traits. Like, for example, I'm a Sagittarius sun sign. So, I have seen myself act out a lot of my more negative traits. And so, but we're not here to say what a person, what you are and are not. You take that for your own discretion and you judge that for yourself. It's not for me to judge. Can be purely, strictly entertainment, or it can be based on some observation that you see as truth. We're here to be knowledge seekers of truth, not feeling like a victim. So please don't come here being a victim. Take what is good for you and leave the rest. And remember, there's always a resolution and solution to everything, even if you do display a lot of these negative behavior traits. So let's jump on in it. So we're talking about mutable air. So first and foremost, mutable is going with the flow. Being able to adapt and become a part of the mass, the group, the collective, without trying. You just naturally can blend in and adapt to any situation, any group of people. And so when you're dealing with a negative sided Gemini, a mutable air sign, this is someone who can be very argumentative off the bat. These people can be very diplomatic on their thought process and ideas and the way that they deliver. They may love a great debate. A more jaded Gemini can be extremely detached from people and not really realize how their words could be affecting another or hurting another person. And so it's really important for dark-sided Geminis to, be aware of that, because, they lack that empathy, because they don't deal with emotions. They deal with logic. They're ruled by Mercury, so jaded. They can be so justified in their wrongdoing and have the logical intellect to back it up that you will think that what they're doing is right. These are the people that can convince you that what you did, you could have done nothing, but they can convince you of your nothingness as being wrong. They're very great at manipulation, and they're wordsmiths. They know how to use their words to insult. And if they're angry, they also have very high tempers. That's the thing about Gemini that people don't know. They deal with multiple personality disorder, the jaded ones. Now, they can have these roles that they play. So they can be this very intellectual, witty, all of these things, right? But then bust out this very rare version of themselves that is very intimidating, based on the logic and their body language. They know how to communicate. They're master communicators. So they're not just communicating with their words, they're reading you. They're very good mental people. Now, another thing is, Gemini, more debilitated, can also deal with mental disabilities. For instance, I don't think I ever shared this, but I have Gemini in the third house, and I was what is the word? I was basically told that I had dyslexia growing up. And in school, I didn't really do that well. But when I got in college, I excelled, and I realized how intellectual and how scholarly I could be. I feel like I was so sidetracked, but I do realize how I was disconnected in school and how that disability can take place when you're distracted, right? And so, like, in college, I felt like I was so focused. I was a new mom. I was a really young mom. So that energy, that negatively debilitated energy of Gemini, can cause a person to be kind of delayed. And so these people can also deal with a lot of chemical imbalances and mental disabilities and mental disturbances too. These people can be um, have multiple personality disorder, and they can also deal with bipolarness. So not just on a cognitive level, but on a social emotional level, they can lack, this awareness that's necessary to kind of function in life. And this can create a person who could be very hostile, very violent, very moody. And so it's very important for, negative, jaded, or deflected. Like, when you have a lot of like negative, harsh aspects in your chart that deal with Gemini, it can deal with some mental illness. Okay. So, yeah, so they can lack morality just based off of their ability to justify what they're going through with some type of mental reasoning. They can always reason, and they like a lot of jaded Gemini energy. They like to reason with people that make no sense because they're able to make sense of no sense. I know that makes no sense, but they have this battle of duality. So they can be one way when they're, in high spirits, but when they're in low spirits, they can be in very low spirits. A more negative Gemini, they can possess that lower spirit more often than their high spirit. And they can do that just to play with people. They have this weird train of thought as if they know more than other people, or they are psychic and they know what other people are thinking, because they have a very strong anxiety. So they're always in their mind thinking. They're ruled by Mercury, so they're very mental people, but sometimes they can be very debilitated with their mental alertness, and they could be debilitated to the point where they're kind of over compensating and over obsessing on their thoughts. Okay, and it can cause them to be very anxious. It can mess with their nerves. They can bite their nails a lot, and things of that nature. Another thing is, like I said, they can think that they're smarter than others, and they can always feel as though they can outwit you. So they're always just ready. These more negative, debilitated Geminis, they're always ready to kind of debate with you or try to go against you. And the more criminal ones, they're very mentally sharp. So they train their minds to outsmart people and to deal with that intimidation factor. So a lot of even dark-sided people that work in the government can be Geminis, because they can save face. They can act like one way, but really be thinking. They can be reading you. They can be doing all of these higher intellectual things that we're completely unaware that they're freaking doing. So a lot of skilled FBI agents or detectives and even things like that, they could be that, because they can save face, that good cop, bad cop in one person type of energy. And also, they also share that energy like the Libran, the Libra, where they could be very indecisive because they kind of see weigh all the ways that something can play out. And so the dark side of Gemini can be always they can take no stance at all and realize that that's affecting them, or they can take the least, they could take a stance that causes them to be undesired, and they don't care. They just want to see people's reaction. They're addicted to the reactions of in game of life, and they can suffer depression from that because they can get what they are expecting. And they can be quitters as well because they can overdrive their mind and not make up for it physically in the reality aspect of it. And they can also be very advanced criminals. These people can mastermind and plot out ways to break out of prison, to rob banks, to do all kind of things. They're extremely witty in that way, right? They also suffer from mental illnesses that can cause paranoia, and they can feel as though people are always out to get them. That is stimulated from their nervousness. They share that energy with Virgo, so Virgo also can be extremely nervous, and the nerves can be consistently bothering them. And so that's the reason why Gemini, they must learn, the more negative Geminis, and even the, more positive Geminis, they deal with this nervousness. But when a more negative Gemini is acting in a sense of nervousness, it can cause paranoia. They can become paranoid, meaning they can believe everyone's out to get them. And this is what causes them to become institutionalized or go on these crazy binges and things of that nature. It's just because their nerves are bad. They worry and they think a lot. And it's just something that Mercury just does, especially if it's debilitated. Now, we're not talking about Mercury Gemini, but Mercury Geminis can attest to that. We're talking about Gemini in just general. So even the sun, moon, and rising, these people have these same tendencies. So they can have that multiple personality. They can have ulterior motives. Remember, they kind of see how all the ways that things could play out. But another thing about Geminis is they have a gut instinct that's based on logic, because they're very intelligent. Even the not so, intelligent ones, they have a gut instinct to how multiple ways how things could play out, and they're given a gift of common sense, a lot of them. So they can definitely avoid problematic situations and situations that can cause them to so they know when to run. Like, they have that ability to be like, okay, nothing's going right here, let me go. Like, I gotta go. Like, they know when to get out of Dodge. Kind of like that Aries energy. They know when to go. And that Sagittarius energy, okay? So they also suffer from having a very short attention span. So the more negative ones, they might not listen to you. You might be talking to them and they might just be off in their own mind, biting their nails or having some type of weird thought processes in your face, and you're not realizing that they're not listening to you. And that happens a lot, and they can be extremely moody. Their moods can often alter based on their thought and perception at that moment. Their perception rules their entire life. Their perception rules what they believe. Like, if they perceive it, they believe it. They believe it to be true. Like, if they can think it, they run with their thoughts. And they also suffer from boredom, which can get them into a lot of problems in their adolescence. Dark-sided Geminis, they can be in early childhood, they can be extremely promiscuous, or just due to boredom and experiment. They want to experiment. They want to figure out things in life. So if they're not being stimulated mentally, they will go down the route that's more common, which is, drugs, sex, violent crimes, things of that nature, things that are easily acceptable, just going down the street and getting into some trouble, just based off boredom. And so they could become masters in these areas of life if they're stimulated by it. They can become tired of it and actually work against it and be a aver they can give great advice, or they can be an advisor for the youth. Like they can be an advisor for adults, young adults that may have went down the wrong path. So that's more positive, right? So we're focusing on the negative. So that boredom can cause people to be very criminalistic. It can cause people to become masters in the criminal world, master promiscuous people, masters of manipulation as well. Okay. They can also be extremely irrational, only seeing their side of the story and not being able to put themselves in other people's shoes. Um, so yeah, I hope this video has helped you. I said a lot. Remember, I just want you guys to know that when we're talking about the dark sided energy, these are people that have a lot of debilitations in their chart. It's not just you can see it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been around a lot of dark sided Gemini, so they know the ropes. They know who to deal with and who not to deal with. When we talk about the more positive side, we'll get to that, but ultimately we all kind of face these shadow aspects of our sign, or our dominating sign. So I think it's really important for us to just be honest and authentic about it. So let me know what you think about this in the comment below. Peace.